Time to call Guadalupe.
Hello?
Miss Camillo, hi, it's Nancy Drew from Icicle Creek Lodge.
Yes, hello. Is the wolf all right?
Well, Ollie hasn't succeeded in shooting or trapping it yet, if that's what you mean. But I'm not going to tell you any more until you tell me who you really are.
All right. I'm a member of Run and Grow Free. As you may or may not know, that's an organization dedicated to the protection of wild animals. I went to the lodge to make sure nothing happened to that wolf. See, we're trying desperately to arrange to have it captured and transported to a sanctuary. But so far, all the ones we've contacted are full. And unless and until we find a place for it, all we can do is try to protect it. Now tell me more about the contact you've had with the wolf.
After I was buried by an avalanche, it dug a hole in the snow so I could escape.
It may have sensed you were in trouble, or its behavior may have been totally random. But either way, the fact that the wolf didn't simply run away from you is very bad news.
It is?
Wolves and humans simply do not mix. While wolves may appear to be similar to dogs, behaviors that have been bred out of dogs after thousands of years of domestication are still instinctive to wolves. Training a wolf to behave like a dog may mask those instincts, but it cannot eradicate them. For that reason, no matter how sociable the wolf may appear, instinct can at any moment rear its ugly head with devastating results for any humans involved and for the wolf. Especially for the wolf, who will have simply been doing what comes naturally.
So the fact that this wolf doesn't seem to be that afraid of people could lead people to think they don't have to be afraid of it.
Precisely. It could make them forget that all wolves are, first and foremost, wild. And while we're on the subject, do not ever, ever give in to the temptation to feed the wolf. For one thing, a wolf's jaws are twice as powerful as a German shepherd's, and should your hand happen to get in its way when it tries to feed?
I get the picture.
For another thing, making the wolf dependent upon you for food would seal its doom. It sounds strange, Nancy, but the very best thing you can do for that wolf is nothing.
Are you the one who wrecked all the gear that was in the fishing shack?
Yes, that was me. I was afraid that Bill Kessler fellow would encounter the wolf on one of his trips out to the shack, and that it would end badly for the wolf. So I did a number on his equipment. I've done worse while working on behalf of Run and Grow Free. Believe me.
I've got another kind of weird question for you. From what side of the bed do you usually get up?
That is weird, but harmless, I suppose. Let me think. I get up on my left side.
Okay, so we can use that for Tino's survey, and then that was the last answer we needed, so we can finally get that code for the snowshoes.
So, are you kind of an expert on wolves?
Oh, good heavens, no. Although I probably know more about them than most people do, which unfortunately isn't saying much.
Things like what?
Well, I know that a wolf that lives by itself, like the one up there at the lodge, a lone wolf, if you will, a wolf like that is called a disperser. And I know that 95% of the wolf's natural habitat down here in the lower 48 states has disappeared. And I know some people, a lot of people, couldn't care less. But it seems to me that wolves have just as much right to go about their business in this country as we humans do. After all, they were here first.
When you were here at the lodge, how come you had a magazine that featured Yanni Volkstaya in your room?
You're very observant. I read the article thinking he might make a good spokesperson for Run and Grow Free. But then I actually talked to him. At which point I realized that not only is he a raving egomaniac, but he's appallingly superstitious when it comes to wolves. I put an abrupt end to that conversation. I was afraid he might try to tell me that wolves had eaten his grandmother or something.
You know, actually, never mind. Aren't there any government agencies that can take care of the wolf?
For the most part, and especially up there, wolves are considered to be pests. If a government agency got involved, it would take care of the wolf all right. Permanently.
What's a sanctuary?
It's a facility where wolves can live out their lives in as natural a setting as possible in the company of other wolves.
You mean like a zoo?
No, sanctuaries are usually not open to the general public, and while educating visitors about wolves is certainly one of their goals, their primary concern is preserving the animals they take in. Unfortunately, the more humans encroach on wolves' natural habitat, the more crowded the sanctuaries become.
Why can't the group you belong to just capture the wolf, take it out to the middle of nowhere, and let it go?
Because unfortunately, there's really no such place as nowhere anymore. We humans are, or can be, everywhere. Plus, wolves can travel great distances. Contact with humans would be inevitable. And since this wolf has obviously lost its fear of humans, it would be an easy target for anyone prone to shoot first and ask questions later. No, a sanctuary is the only place where it would be truly safe.
It gets so cold here at night. Will the wolf be okay?
Not only are wolves built to withstand cold temperatures, but they know instinctively what to do to survive in extreme conditions. If they didn't, they would have disappeared from the earth eons ago.
Why didn't you just come out and tell the people at Icicle Creek Lodge that you were there to protect the wolf?
Because I assumed, and quite correctly as it turns out, that very few people there would be sympathetic to my cause. Had I not been undercover, they may have tried to foil my efforts. Instead, I was able to foil theirs. For a while, at least.
Did you ever hear any explosions while you were staying at Icicle Creek Lodge?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I heard several.
Do you have any idea what caused them?
My first thought was that Ollie had completely lost it and was going after the wolf with explosives. But when I realized that even he wasn't that stupid, I assumed it was someone clearing an avalanche or a downed tree or something. While we're on the subject of explosions, did anyone ever figure out what made the bunkhouse blow up like that?
The sheriff says it was plastic explosives.
Wow, that's serious. No offense, but it sounds to me like instead of hiring a new maid, the owner of the lodge should have hired herself a detective.
Yeah, I'd better get going.
Thanks for calling. Oh, and from now on, call me Lupe. I think you've earned that right.
I guess we're friends with Lupe now. Let's talk to Ollie. See if he can shed any light
What you
on
need?
Miss Camille.
I couldn't help but overhear the argument you and Miss Camille had.
She messed up my rifle so I couldn't shoot that wolf, so I tossed her out. Told her to take her little crusade somewhere else.
Have you told Chantal that you threw her out?
No, not yet. She's not going to be happy. But by golly, that woman was a menace. Anybody who deliberately sabotaged a man's rifle is capable of anything. But at least now I know why I missed that wolf. And like I told her as I was giving her the bum's rush, next time, I won't miss.
That's all the questions I had.
If you need anything, just holler.
Okay.
How can I help you?
I've disturbed you long enough.
Come back anytime.
Okay, so these are all the answers. Again, Nancy doesn't really say anything when we get it right, but now we're gonna call Tino and talk to him, unfortunately.
Hey, Nancy! I was wondering when your number there was gonna show up on caller ID. This is Tino Balducci. Remember me? From that last train to Blue Moon Canyon we went on? Yeah, I'm the one who helped you find that long-lost treasure.
I'm not sure helped is the right word, Mr. Balducci.
Please, call me Tino.
In fact, Tino, I'm a little surprised you're still in law enforcement, considering some of the unethical, if not illegal, stunts you pulled back then.
Hey, That's all behind me. Ancient history. Water under the bridge. So, looks like we're gonna be working together on this sabotage thing, huh?
Looks like.
So Chantel sent you my little survey, huh? What you think?
Well, the questions were very...
Ingenious?
That's not quite the word I was going to use, but anyway, I did have one question. You wanted me to fill out the survey for everyone at the lodge but Ollie. Why is that?
Because Ollie's an employee?
So?
Nancy, in my experience, which, let's face it, is far vaster than yours, employees don't do stuff that's gonna endanger their jobs. And if these accidents force Chantel to shut down, Ollie'd be out of a job. Ergo, Ollie is not a suspect.
No offense, but I think you're wrong.
Oh, yeah? Well, tell me this, Miss Smarty Boots. How much is Chantel paying you? Huh? How much?
Nothing.
Well, she's paying me. So what's that tell you, huh?
That you're ripping her off? That you're a professional?
That's right. I'm the professional here. So, you done with the survey?
I sure am.
Good girl. I'll just turn on my fax machine here. Okay, let her rip. Nice work, Nancy. According to the survey, our perp is none other than our bird-watching champion snowshoer, Bill Kessler.
But Bill Kessler likes to ice fish. Guadalupe Comillo is the one who likes to birdwatch. Yanni Volkstaya is a champion skier. And Lou Talbot likes to snowshoe.
Oh.
How did you come up with that survey anyway?
I put it together using this profiling kit I saw advertised on the Detective Channel. It was supposed to be foolproof. You know, maybe I just need to look at the survey data from a different perspective or something. Yeah, maybe the answer's there after all, and I just gotta shuffle things around in order to see it. Oh, hey, before I forget, Chantel said when you finished the survey, I was supposed to pass some numbers on to you. Said it was the combination of something?
Yes, to the display case. What is it?
7669. Anything else I can do for you?
How is it that you know Chantal?
Friend of a friend heard about all the problems she was having up there and immediately figured she could use my crime-solving expertise. So I gave her a call, we had lunch, we hit it off, and bingo. I got myself a new client.
How many clients do you have?
I have enough. I mean, you know, you go spreading yourself too thin in this business, and the next thing you know, crime out the wazoo.
I think that'll do it.
Always a pleasure.
Now that we have the combination, 7, 6, 6, 9.
That did it.
Now we can continue following the paw prints. That were this way. Put the snowshoes on, and now we can keep going. Whoa. Two vertebra employed as furniture, petrified wings for muscle attachment missing, otherwise in excellent condition. Money. New species. Foot search of immediate vicinity yielded
Possible
nothing.
sauropod scapula. Take to lab for precise ID.
Must figure out how to look for it and evacuate other specimens in secret potential gold mine. Interesting. Let's keep going.
I can't stop shivering. I need to get in and out of the cold, like, soon.
So we come
Looks
to
like
this
some kind of
hut,
house. Could someone be living there?
and we will die if we don't get inside because it's warm inside and we're about to freeze.
Hello? Is anyone here?
It's
Doesn't sound like it.
And we have to use this, which is a mirror of numbers. So 7914. And I'm gonna do a toasty pack because I'm about to die. Okay, so 7914. 7914. And this was the piece of paper that we found in the jacket that the wolf gave us. 7914. So now we are warm, and
This indentation looks just like the one on that plaque in the lodge where that missing Rex bone used to be.
so we need to find the missing Rex bone. Whoever owns this notebook has the Rex bone. They stole it from the lodge, so toasty pack, something with a phone
Wonder
number
what
on it,
this is. Looks like there's a phone number on it.
which we will call later. And most importantly is this diary.
The Rest of My Life by Julius McQuaid.
Since Nancy's not going to read this for us, I'm going to read it. April 19th. I picked this diary up in Winnipeg on a whim. Maybe I'll write in it, maybe I won't. Now that I'm through at Brill Labs and through with work in general, I don't have to do anything. I don't want to. Maybe I'll miss people so much that I'll feel like I have to write to someone, even if it's just myself. Or maybe not. Probably not. I'm tired of people, tired of writing things down, tired of feeling as caged as the animals I spent 40 years working with. In 3 hours, the train will never reach... In 3 hours, the train will reach Edmonton. Maybe I'll get off, maybe I won't. Hello, freedom. October 1st. I woke up in my tent to the sound of distant gunshots this morning, and later I found a wolf pup all by herself, stuck in a bunch of brambles. I figured the hunters had gotten her mother since she was nowhere around, and since there was no way the pup was ever going to extricate herself, I started chopping through the brambles to free her. It took me a while, though, and I was talking to her all the time, trying to keep her from struggling and hurting herself. So what I was really doing without meaning to was imprinting my voice and my scent on her brain. Because at first she went racing off, but then later I noticed that she was following me. Even now she's sitting about 20 yards away, despite my campfire, just watching me. I haven't fed her. I avoided touching her while I was cutting her free from the brambles, yet she's there. So since this could be the beginning of an interesting relationship, I thought maybe I should take some notes. Old habits are indeed hard to break. October 7th. The pup, whose coat is pure white, still shadows me wherever I go. Every day she narrows the distance between us, which has been reduced to about 20 feet. If I get any closer, she runs, but she always comes back. October 28th. The pup, which I've been calling Isis, now keeps no less than 7 feet between us at all times, a distance with which I am happy as well. I've watched her hunt for food, have seen what she can do with her teeth and jaws, and have no desire to even encounter either on a personal basis. I have resisted the urge to feed her or to make her in any way dependent upon me, but I do talk to her. I can't help myself. I've discovered that talking is a very basic human need. Why Isis listens, I don't know, but she does of that, I'm certain. November 11th. Snow has begun to fall, so I've moved into an abandoned storage hut that I found. It's a little too close to what used to be an old hunting lodge for my tastes. But beggars can't be choosers. As winter sets in and I venture outside less and less, I expect that Isis will soon abandon her vigil and make a full return to the wild. I will miss her strange companionship, but that's how it should be. November 17th. When I woke up this morning, I was shocked to discover that Isis had found a way into the shack and was lying not 3 feet away from me. She woke up the instant I did. We stared at each other, then she put her head down and went back to sleep. Apparently, she trusts me. Or maybe she wants me to trust her. In any case, this is truly uncharted territory for me, but the urge to explore it is irresistible. February 8th, look, like it or not, Isis has become my pet, or I have become hers. I'm not at all sure which. While she is never underfoot, preferring to remain at least 3 feet away from me most of the time, she does permit and occasionally seeks out a friendly pat or two on the head and shoulders, although unlike most dogs, she doesn't seem to consider my touch to be any kind of reward. In fact, I sometimes feel that by letting me pet her, she's rewarding me. March 27th, with the coming of spring, I fully expect Isis to take off one day and never return. But so far that hasn't happened. She disappears for hours at a time, no doubt to hunt, but for some reason she always returns. April 4th. Last night a wolf started howling in the distance. Isis sat bolt upright and listened so hard she was shaking, but when the howling ended after a moment, she lay back down and went back to sleep. And I suddenly realized that she's not going to leave. Ever. It was either the wilderness or me, and incredibly she chose me. July 10th. Isis is by far the smartest animal I have ever seen. By watching her carefully and
So once I get her attention by saying her name, I can give her commands.
and reinforcing specific actions with specific words, I can get her to perform those actions on command. For instance, whenever I saw her lie down, I'd say down. And now when I say down, she lies down. Here is a list of the commands I've taught her. Down, she lies down. Forward, she moves forward. Jump, she leaps into the air. Stay, she stops moving. Bark, she barks. Paw, she swipes with her paw. Left, she turns left 90 degrees. Right, she turns right 90 degrees. Around, she heads in the opposite direction. So, this is...
So once I get her attention by saying her name, I can give her commands.
Nancy is making the observation again. This is a little plot device her interactive is using for us to solve the mystery. We're going to have to use this later on. September 16th. I can give Isis not just one command, but many commands chained in a row, and she'll carry them out one by one in order. I start such a chain of commands by saying Isis, and I end the chain by saying go. For instance, if I want her to move forward, then lie down, then turn to her right, then bark, then turn to her left, then around and come back. I say Isis, forward, down, right, bark, left, turn, around, go. And she does it. She won't even attempt to follow a command that makes no sense to her. She's truly amazing. October 12th. I set up a maze and had Isis navigate it by giving her a chain of commands, and she did it. She did it several times, in fact, with the maze set up differently each time. Moreover, when she's following commands I've given her, she tends to retrieve any strange object she may come across in the process. Like today, she came out of the maze holding an old sock, which she promptly dropped at my feet. It was like she was glad I was keeping her busy, and she was saying
Ability
thanks.
to sort objects by scent. If she has an object in her mouth, she'll sniff, then drop the object near another object that has the same scent.
March 2nd. Spent the winter refining Isis's ability to sort objects by scent. If she has an object in her mouth, she'll sniff, then drop the object near another object that has the same scent. She'd make an incredible police dog, after all. She could retrieve a clue, then figure out who left it by picking the matching scent out of a lineup of suspects' belongings. Matlock would have had a field day with her. Okay, that's a hint for us to basically get her to find out who this journal belongs to. So we'll do that next. But, continuing on with the story, June 14th, note to self, never ever feed Isis, especially by hand. Today a rat got into my pantry in the shack. I managed to grab it by the tail and was in the process of flinging it outside when Isis appeared out of nowhere, leaped up, and snapped the rat right out of my grasp, missing my fingers by millimeters. I simply cannot allow myself to ever forget this one fact. Isis is by nature a wild animal. October 26th. A freak snowstorm caught me by surprise yesterday afternoon. It was sunny and warm one minute, next minute it was cloudy, and the temperature was plummeting. And the next minute it was snowing so hard I couldn't see a thing. All I had on was a light jacket, and after wandering around blindly, getting more and more wet and lost and exhausted, I finally sat down, figuring I was done for. And then all of a sudden Isis appeared, dragging something with her mouth. It was my heavy coat. So I put it on, sat there till the storm let up, then followed Isis back to the shack. She saved my life, I'm sure of it. December 24th. I've had a fever and a bad cough for about 2 weeks now, and this morning I felt so awful that I couldn't get out of bed. So I'm going to hike out to the road while I still have the strength and hitch a ride to Pinevale Hospital, Hopefully they'll give me some antibiotics.
Pinevale Hospital.
And send... Okay.
Maybe I can use Isis and her incredible sense of smell to figure out who owns the notebook I found outside. All I have to do is get something from each of the people at the lodge, something that each of them has touched, then let Isis figure out which of their scents matches the scent on the notebook.
So he went to the hospital in hopes they give him antibiotics and send me on my way before Isis starts to wonder where I've gone. The possibility that she would think I've abandoned her just breaks my heart. She has come to mean the world to me.
Isis, stay.
It's Isis. So now we can give Isis the commands that we just learned about.
Down. Isis, down. Go.
So, okay. Here's another toasty pack. I think we looked at everything here. So basically, this part of the plot is kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say silly, but like hard to explain because like we found this hut and this guy named Julius Quaid clearly used to live here with Isis. But then there's also like this section which will lead us to something that has to do with Trapper Dan, but Trapper Dan built the lodge and the hut, I guess, many years ago. I don't know. The timelines are all confused. I think the first time I played this game, I was like, oh, Julius McQuaid and Trapper Dan are the same person, but they're not. So, oh gosh, sound of explosion. So much is happening. Let's go back to the lodge and collect... Well, we can't collect items until the next morning. Because we will end up using people's washcloths to find out who owns the notebook. We need to find out who owns the notebook so we can get the Rex bone and go through that door. But there are a couple of other things we can do. I think.
I feel warmer already. Who's this from? Meet me in the sauna in the basement. I have some interesting information for you. A sauna sounds good to me. Ah, something that Ollie has touched.
We can use that to... Because we can't clean Ollie's room and he doesn't have a washcloth, so we just use that for his scent. Everyone's gone.
Hello? Anybody here? These weren't here before. That birthmark below his eye looks very familiar. Hey! Is someone out there? The door's... Whew, I'm getting really, really hot. I can't take this heat much longer. There. We may still be locked in, but at least I won't feel like a rotisserie chicken anymore.
Little timed puzzle there.
Nancy!
Mr. Kessler? What are you doing down here?
I came down here looking for Ollie, but then I heard all this noise and thought I'd better check it out. Door got stuck again, huh? Say, you look kinda bedraggled. Are you alright?
I'm fine, and I'll be even better after you and I have a little talk.
Yeah, that's me. When I was a kid, this place was practically my second home. My late grandmother, Tilly Wentworth, used to own it.
Was she the reason you wrote that letter I found crumpled up in your room?
About 2 years ago, just before she died, my grandmother sold this place to Albert Moikwe without telling anyone in her family. From what I've heard about Moikwe, I'm pretty sure he bullied her into selling. I think he cheated her, and he cheated us, and that it's high time somebody...
Taught him a lesson by, say, putting Icicle Creek Lodge out of business?
I had nothing to do with that explosion, Lou's window, the food poisoning, the icy stairs, none of that stuff. You ask me, it's karma. The Moikways are just getting what's coming to them.
Since you used to spend so much time here, do you know if there's a way to get into Trapper Dan's needle?
You know that pyramid thing on the table over there by the entrance to the dining room? If you fool around with it until nothing but pigs show on the outside, this compartment will open up and inside will be this round magnetic thing that used to be Trapper Dan's special master key. Just hold it up by the needle and a hidden door'll pop open.
So what's in the needle, do you know?
No, my bratty cousin Elwood told me it was filled with skeletons, and I never worked up the nerve to go in and see for myself. And maybe it was filled with skeletons. I mean, let's face it, living all by himself way out here in the wild, winter after long dark winter, Trapper Dan was probably stark raving bonkers.
I'd better get going.
Okie dokie.